For me, familiarity is something really important to me. Like we've just moved to South London, which sounds like nothing, but to a Londoner it's a really big deal. Like, we lived in North my whole life and I moved south and it was like, oh my God, it's like another city. But it's just learning interesting ways to walk to the studio and seeing funny little buildings and understanding the area. And actually I find that, you know, if I'm lucky enough to have like a good run at the studio, I'll leave early and walk to the studio, and that's how much I see of the outside world. When you become an artist, you're choosing to be on your own than with people. If you don't have people to speak to, you have to generate your own conversations and your own dialogue. So the Rumbling Tum was a kind of sort of overarching idea about inventing characters to sort of talk to in the studio.
This imagined second voice has kind of come to life through the figures within this particular body of works. Could you talk to me a bit about how these characters evolved?
I always approach a show in a language of my own, so I never really reference art history usually and things like that, but I think I can't not admit it in this. And I think, I sort of stumbled across these paintings by Rembrandt, and one of them in particular was called The Franciscan Friar, I think. Quite a sort of haunting, over-the-top, hooded man, which I loved it immediately. So on the little sort of name title plaque next to it, it said, this is a Trony. And I realised that whole room, nothing was painted from life. There were kind of experiments in Rembrandt trying to find new ways of working or process or experiment with things. So he was inventing characters. And I sort of think that's quite the privilege of the artist, is that you can bring people into the conversation anytime you want. So it's definitely like giving myself more license to be like, okay, these are fictional characters.
That absence of a real person, a real character, really brings the process of making the painting to the fore. And your process in particular, I would describe as quite rough almost. And it's something that's given real prominence in your work over perhaps a particular subject matter.
Yeah, it's very frenzied in a way. It's very like, I used to really beat myself up and be like, you're not actually painting, you're just distracted. But then I realised actually those distractions are really necessary. Like, like this idea of 6, 7, 8 layers of primer, mixing all sorts of stuff with them, hair and staples and bits of crap that come off the studio floor, and actually just embracing that, and then taking a day to pick them all out, kind of like something you spent time with, so you already know it in a way. So when you start painting, you've already got all these marks and these kind of series of accidents that you're like, okay, I have to somehow deal with them, I can't just paint over them. So it's a very jittery practice. Like, I think if my painters could talk, they'd hate me. Like I'd be scratching them all the time and beating them and sanding them back, and things come back from shows and I sand them down again. People are horrified sometimes. I put dates on my paintings which can be perceived as quite sort of, I don't know, arrogant, but it's like, this took 7 years. But like there's such a kind of emphasis in the art world now about production and making lots and making quickly, that I kind of like to say to myself, no, this took a long time, it's fine, Ross, and it's not like a painting will take 7 years, I'll put it in a cupboard for 4, it's like, and it'll come back out again, so that's kind of how I think art gets made. I just can't believe people have big grand plans. I think it's sort of more steady every day, just chipping away at something until it becomes something.